Welcome to your deep dive. Today, we're diving into AI,
Right.
specifically large language models.
Yeah.
You know, all those LLMs that are kind of taking the internet by storm?
Right.
You've given us a ton of articles and research.
We got a lot to get through.
Yeah, a real treasure trove, and we're gonna dig through it all and find the good stuff.
Exactly. We're going to figure out how LLMs structure the text they generate,
Okay.
how that impacts creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and how this all ties into real-world applications like Amazon's new chatbot, Rufus.
Yeah, and we'll also, cause I know you love to stay ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
We're gonna look at some really cool new approaches to prompting
That's right.
that might just change how you use AI forever.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in with this article from issue #070.txt. It's called "The King is Dead, Long Live the King,"
Right.
and this one really caught my eye because it talks about how researchers are finding that LLMs,
Yeah.
especially GPT-4,
Mhm.
have developed a bit of a writing quirk.
Yes. It's really interesting research. It's not so much about like the specific words they use, though.
Right.
It's more about these underlying patterns that they seem to rely on.
Okay.
Researchers are calling them syntactic templates.
Hmm.
It's kind of like if you imagine a weaver using the same loom to create a bunch of different tapestries.
Okay.
The materials they use and even the designs might change,
Right.
but that underlying structure from the loom is always going to be kind of similar.
So it's like a fingerprint almost for AI writing.
Yeah, in a way it is.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big deal when you think about it.
How so?
Well, think about companies that are using LLMs for like marketing or PR.
Okay.
If all their messaging starts to sound the same because of these underlying patterns,
Right.
are they really connecting with their audience?
Interesting.
Could this actually be hurting how well their communication works without them even realizing it?
It's like the more AI we use, the more things starts to sound the same.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then what does that even mean for creativity? This article touches on this too, right?
It does. One study actually found that AI can help individual writers to come up with more creative ideas on their own.
Okay.
But then the stories they end up writing tend to be really similar to each other.
Huh.
It's like AI is making us more individually creative but less diverse overall.
Wow. That's fascinating and a little bit unsettling at the same time. Like we're on the verge of this AI-driven creative boom, but at what cost?
Right.
This research really makes you think about the future of originality.
It does.
So, on a slightly later note, this article also mentions Amazon's new AI chatbot, Rufus.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard of this, right?
Of course, Rufus is a great example of how these LLMs are going from research labs into our everyday lives.
And they're using it in their shopping app now.
That's right. They're claiming it can answer all sorts of questions about products.
Okay.
But this being Amazon, it's hard not to wonder about the potential downsides.
Yeah, especially with their track record on those fake reviews.
Exactly.
How can Rufus tell the difference between information about a product that's actually legit and something that's made up?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it makes you think about AI and trust in general.
Mm-hmm.
Just because an AI can write or speak like we do
Right.
doesn't mean that it actually gets things like the truth or being accurate
Mm.
or even basic ethics.
It makes you wonder if we're trusting these systems too much without really understanding what they can and can't do.
For sure.
Speaking of impact, though,
Yeah.
this newsletter we have here highlights another concern that's been coming up:
What's that?
the emotional toll of AI.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about voice actors in Australia who are worried about being replaced by AI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it makes sense that they're feeling that way. I mean,
Sure.
think about it even just a year ago.
Right.
Most people were used to AI voices that sounded really robotic or monotone.
Yeah.
But now with these advancements like OpenAI's GPT-4o, which can replicate all those subtle inflections and emotions in human speech,
It's amazing.
it really is.
It can sound like it's conveying real joy
Yeah,
and sadness.
and even sarcasm.
Yeah. Emotions that everyone always thought were totally unique to humans.
Exactly.
There's an amazing accomplishment for technology.
Totally.
But it does make you think about the people whose jobs depend on those very skills.
It does make you wonder what's going to happen to them.
Amazing,
It's not
right?
just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about people, their jobs, how they feel about all of it.
This newsletter actually goes into this whole AI and human interaction even more
Okay.
with a section about prompting that I thought was really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
It talks about this completely new way of thinking about how we interact with LLMs.
Interesting. Have you seen this?
Yeah. Have you?
I have, and I think it's a Total game changer.
What's the general idea? So basically, instead of treating LLMs like they're just following our instructions,
Okay.
we need to start thinking about them as these huge libraries of information
Okay.
that are organized by context.
Okay. I like what this is
Right.
going.
So, for example, instead of just saying, write me a poem about love,
Right.
you'd say something like, write me a sonnet from the perspective of Romeo after he first meets Juliet.
Oh, wow.
You're giving it that specific emotional and historical context.
Right.
And that helps the LLM tap into a much richer set of information.
Okay.
So it can give you something way more nuanced and insightful.
So it's less about giving the AI orders and more about like guiding it towards a specific understanding or perspective.
Exactly. It's about moving past that transactional back and forth
Right.
and getting into some real collaboration with AI.
I like that.
This newsletter gives some great examples of how this works in practice.
Like what?
Let's say you're working on a marketing campaign for some new running shoes.
Okay.
Instead of telling the AI to write a tagline for these running shoes,
Huh.
you could try something like, imagine you're a marathon runner and you're trying to get someone who's never even run a mile to put on their shoes. What would you say to them?
Ooh, that's good.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're tapping into that emotional core and you're giving it a context that people can relate to.
Exactly.
You're way more likely to get a tagline that actually resonates with people.
Right.
It's like you're teaching the AI to think like a marketer instead of just spitting out the same generic phrases.
Yeah, it's a different way of thinking about it for sure.
This is a total aha moment for me.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah. And the best part is you could apply this to pretty much any field or industry.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether you're writing a screenplay,
Mm-hmm.
composing music, or even just trying to have a deeper conversation.
Yeah.
Understanding the power of context is going to help you unlock the true potential of these LLMs.
It's like we're moving beyond AI as a tool
Yeah,
and into this new era of AI as a collaborator,
I like that.
which is really exciting,
It is
but also a little bit daunting, don't you think?
a little bit of both, for sure.
Uh-huh.
It requires a real shift in how we think about things.
Right.
Letting go of those old ways of thinking and really embracing this whole new world of human-AI interaction.
Wow.
It's about learning to speak the language of AI, and not just in terms of code,
Right.
but in terms of creativity and empathy and this shared understanding.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
And I don't know about you, but my brain is like buzzing with new ideas and possibilities now.
I know what you mean.
We've gone through so much just now, from the technical parts of LLMs to the ethics of it all and what it means for creativity in the future.
It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. And it's clear that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
It really is. And what's so important to remember here is that AI isn't some far-off thing anymore.
Right.
It's already here.
Mm-hmm.
It's changing so fast.
Yeah.
And it's a part of almost every part of our lives now.
It's true.
We can't just ignore it.
So true. But we can't just react to every new thing that pops up either.
No, you're right.
We have to be proactive. We got to think things through and maybe even be a little brave as we figure out how to navigate this whole new world.
I agree completely.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just about knowing how AI works.
Okay.
It's also about looking at ourselves, what we value, what's important to us.
Mm-hmm.
What do we actually want the future to look like with AI?
Right.
What are we hopeful for? What are we afraid of?
Yeah.
These are questions that everyone needs to be asking, not just the people who are building this technology.
You've given our listener a lot to think about today.
I hope so.
From the ins and outs of how AI writes to those very human worries about jobs and the future of creativity.
It's a lot.
It is. It kind of feels like this deep dive has opened up more questions than answers, but in a good way.
That's what I love about deep dives.
Right.
They don't always give you easy solutions,
No.
but they do give you the knowledge and the different perspectives you need so you can start asking better questions and make smarter choices.
Absolutely. So on that note, a huge thank you to our listener for sharing these awesome sources with us.
Yes, thank you.
You've given us a lot to think about,
For sure.
and we really appreciate you letting us dive deep with you.
Until next time. Right.
Until next time.
Remember, the future of AI. It's something we're all creating together. We're hearing AI that can convey joy, sadness, even sarcasm emotions that everyone always thought were totally unique to humans. It's an amazing accomplishment for technology, but it does make you think about the people whose jobs depend on those very skills.
It's a powerful reminder that AI isn't just about algorithms and data, it's about people, their jobs, their emotions. This newsletter actually dives into that human AI interaction even further with a section on prompting that I found really intriguing. It talks about this whole new way of thinking about how we interact with LLMs. Have you seen this?
I have, and I think it's a game changer.
Okay.
The basic idea is that instead of treating LLMs like simple instruction followers, we need to start thinking of them as vast libraries of information organized by context.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Tell me more.
Imagine instead of saying, write me a poem about love, you say, write me a sonnet from the perspective of Romeo after meeting Juliet for the first time. You're providing a specific emotional and historical context, which helps the LLM tap into a richer vein of information and produce a more nuanced and insightful output. So it's less about giving orders and more about guiding the AI towards a specific understanding or perspective. That's fascinating.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond the transactional and into the realm of true collaboration with AI. The newsletter gives some great examples of how this works in practice. For example, let's say you're writing a marketing campaign for a new type of athletic shoe. Instead of telling the AI to write a tagline for a running shoe, you could say, imagine you're a marathon runner trying to inspire someone who's never run a mile to lace up their shoes. What would you say?
That's brilliant. By tapping into that emotional core and providing a relatable context, you're more likely to get a tagline that resonates with your target audience.
Okay.
It's like you're teaching the AI to think like a marketer instead of just spitting out generic phrases. This is a total aha moment for me.
And the beauty of it is this approach can be applied to any field or industry. Whether you're writing a screenplay, composing music, or even just trying to have a more meaningful conversation, understanding the power of context is key to unlocking the true potential of LLMs.
It's like we're moving beyond the era of AI as a tool and into the era of AI as a collaborator. And that's both exciting and a little daunting, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It requires a shift in mindset, a willingness to let go of our old ways of thinking and embrace this new frontier of human-AI interaction. It's about learning to speak the language of AI, not just in terms of code, but in terms of creativity, empathy, and shared understanding.
This has been an incredible deep dive. And I don't know about you, but my brain is buzzing with new ideas and possibilities. We've covered so much ground from the technical nuances of LLMs to the ethical implications and the future of human creativity. It's clear that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
It really is. And the key takeaway here is that AI is no longer some distant futuristic concept.
Mm.
It's here, it's evolving rapidly, and it's impacting every aspect of our lives.
It really is both exciting and a little overwhelming, to be honest, to think about how much AI is changing everything.
It's a lot.
But hey, at least after this deep dive,
Yeah,
we can't say we're not informed.
exactly. And that's more important than ever because, like we've been saying, AI isn't some abstract idea anymore.
It's true.
It's in our homes, it's at work, it's in our pockets.
Hmm.
Ignoring it isn't really an option at this point.
You're right. You're right. But just reacting to every single new AI thing that comes out isn't good enough either.
No, definitely not.
We need to be more proactive, think things through.
Absolutely.
And yeah, maybe even be a little brave as we're figuring out this whole new world.
I completely agree. This isn't just about understanding how AI works.
Right.
It's about us figuring out our own values and priorities.
Okay.
What kind of future do we actually want to create with AI,
That's a good question.
right? What are our hopes? What are our fears? These are questions that everyone should be thinking about, not just the people building this stuff.
It's true. You've given our listener a lot to think about today.
I hope so.
From how AI writes to those very real worries about jobs and what happens to creativity.
It's a lot to process.
It really is. This deep dive feels like it's opened up more questions than answers, honestly.
It always does.
But that's a good thing, right?
That's what I love about these conversations.
Me too.
They don't always give you those nice, easy solutions.
No, not always.
But what they do is give you the knowledge and those different points of view so that you can start asking the right questions
Totally.
and make more informed choices.
I love that. So a huge thank you to our listener for bringing these thought-provoking sources to the table.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing.
You've given us so much to consider,
Absolutely.
and we loved diving deep into this with you.
Until next time,
Until next time.
remember the future of AI. It's a story that we're all writing together.